Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for WLBT Plus. My name is Kara Shirley, your digital news desk host, and it is Tuesday. Almost said Thursday. It's not Thursday. It is Tuesday, June the 10th, and it is a beautiful day outside. We're going to take a look out in just a minute. But welcome to WLBT Plus if you're tuning in on our mobile app or through our website. And if you're watching through any of our social streams, thank you for tuning in there. Make sure you leave a thought, comment, questions, suggestion, anything like that you have in the stories that I bring to you today, you are more than welcome to, as I say, join the conversation and post in anything really in the comment section. And just be nice. I ask you to be nice, but it is a free country. So you do what you want with that. Do let me know where you're watching from, where you're tuning in from. I always like to see where you guys are watching from. Tune in from all over the place. And I like it. So before we jump into the news, going to take a look outside. We're going to look over downtown Jackson, courtesy of our guaranteed roofing camera. And here it is, a beautiful, beautiful day out. Lots of blue, big, puffy clouds. The kind of like cloud watching kind of day where you go lay down and you just see what kind of shapes and stuff you can find out in the clouds. But it is a gorgeous day outside and warm day, very warm day. We're going to look at our forecast in just a minute, but 2:30 today. Yeah, that's where I was going with that. 2:30 today, our first alert weather team is going to be in here and they will give you a in-depth look at your forecast. So let's go ahead and jump into the news. And a alleged bank robber has been denied bond. So here he is here on your screen. He is from Brandon and he is accused of robbing a Jackson bank last month. So his name is Wilbert Ransom, 45 years old. He has been charged with the armed robbery of the Trustmark branch on Woodrow Wilson Avenue 2 weeks ago. So investigators say that he walked in, handed a note to a teller, and robbed her at knife point. Incident reports show that he got away with only $80, and was arrested hours later by Capitol Police. He was actually out of prison on probation at the time of the robbery after being convicted of a house burglary. Only $80. I've said this before, if I'm going to catch a charge, it's going to be for something a lot more than that. All right. If I'm going to jail for robbing a bank, I hope to get more than that. I hope I never, that never happens. You never hear of that from me. But if $80, that's a small amount of money for a very big crime. So we will continue to follow his case and keep you updated on it. But again, he has been denied bond. And going to Smith County now, where a man is in custody after a woman who has been missing for 3 weeks was found at his home in Rankin County. So the Smith County's Sheriff's Department arrested 45-year-old Quincy Gilbert. This is Quincy here on your screen. He's been charged with both aggravated assault and capital kidnapping. The woman was reported missing on May the 12th. A joint investigation conducted by the Rankin County Sheriff's and Smith County Sheriff's Department led to the victim's location at Gilbert's house. So he is currently being held on a $600,000 bond at the Rankin County Detention Center, and we are actively working on getting more information on this case for you. So keep tuned in to WLBT. Make sure you have our app downloaded where you can get those breaking news notifications, because as I said, we are actively working on getting more information on this situation. But he is currently in jail. Britt, I see you there saying good afternoon. Good afternoon to you as well. And Kingston, hello. How are you doing today? You say good morning. Maybe it's morning where you are. It's afternoon here, but either way, I hope you're having a great day. So coming back here to Jackson, a suspect who was wanted in a recent Jackson homicide has now turned himself in to the police department. So Jackson police say that 19-year-old Michael Tate Jr., this is him on your screen, he surrendered to authorities Monday evening. So he's accused of killing 15-year-old Zacharias Berry. Berry was shot and killed on James Garfield Circle last month. And JPD Chief Joseph Wade says Tate and Berry knew each other. Tate is now waiting his initial court appearance. And a Jackson man is now in custody weeks after authorities say he pulled up next to a Jackson police cruiser and aimed a gun at an officer who was behind the wheel. So Monday, Jackson police announced the arrest of 20-year-old Ontario McDougals and 19-year-old Zy Braylon Johnson. So McDougals is charged with making terroristic threats against law enforcement, possession of a stolen vehicle, possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute while in possession of a firearm, and possession of a firearm with a conversion switch. So Johnson is charged with possession of a stolen vehicle, possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute while in possession of a firearm, and other gun charges. So the two were arrested on Meadow Forest Drive June the 6th with the help of U.S. Marshals. Officers also confiscated drugs, $3,000 in cash, 6 guns, 4 cars, including 1 stolen vehicle. You can see the items that were confiscated here in the video on your screen. The officers say they believe the cars were purchased with counterfeit checks on the Facebook Marketplace. Chief Joseph Wade says that crimes like this will not be tolerated.
We're not going to tolerate you getting out here trying to get clicks and likes and get famous on social media by pointing that gun at law enforcement or by pointing a gun at anyone in our community. You know, if you have no respect for law enforcement, you have no respect for authority, preachers, pastors, teachers, your parents, nobody. It's obvious you don't even respect yourself.
So both were denied bond in the Jackson Municipal Court, and both are being currently held at the Hinds County Detention Center in Raymond. Back to our stream here, Miss Brenda. Good afternoon, watching from McGee. Hello, Miss Brenda. Hope you're having a great day. And Linda says, hello, beautiful day. And it is an absolutely beautiful day outside. Stephen saying, hello, have a wonderful day. And Stephen, you have a wonderful day as well. I know we don't always get to discuss super happy news on here, but our goal is to keep you informed of what is going on around the area. And speaking of what's going on around the area, we're going to move to Vicksburg now, where a traffic stop has led to a very big drug bust over in Vicksburg. So Police Chief Penny Jones says that officers stopped Tavion Pope and Robert Ward Sunday night. She says that officers and a search dog found 70 pounds of marijuana inside their car. You can see the amount of marijuana right here. They also found 2 guns. So Pope and Ward are now charged with trafficking a controlled substance. So Pope was actually out of jail on bond for felony possession of marijuana, and that stemmed from an incident back in March that left a 19-year-old man dead and 2 other people hospitalized. So, of course, we will definitely keep you updated on that. Kingston Pierce. Okay, I see. So Kingston says it's hot out here in Phoenix. That's why you're saying good morning. You're still in morning time over there. Well, it's hot here in Mississippi too. Probably a whole different kind of heat. Y'all have dry heat over there in Arizona. We got the very humid stuff over here in Mississippi. So there is a very hotly contested race for Ward 1. You know, we had elections a week ago, and there's one race here in Jackson that we still don't have an answer for, and that's for the Jackson City Council seat for Ward 1. And we're likely not going to be getting the results on that until tomorrow. So the results show that incumbent Ashby Foote is leading challengers Grace Green and Jasmine Barnes by a slim margin, very slim margin. But that margin, that those results, they don't include affidavit ballots or absentee ballots that were mailed in. The last day to receive mail-in absentee ballots is today. So those ballots must be postmarked by, or must have been postmarked by June the 3rd. It's unclear how many of those votes have been received, and it's also not known how many of those will be from Ward 1 residents. So we have to wait for those, especially those mail-in ballots that come in, for them to count them, make sure that they are valid votes, and wait to see if who the winner will be. Hopefully that number will be announced tomorrow, but we are definitely watching it and keeping up with it for you here. And the search has gotten underway for a new president for Jackson State University. And as that search is underway, questions are being raised about how presidential searches have been conducted in the past, presidential searches for the university. So Democratic State Representative Chris Bell previously filed legislation that would abolish the board at the state institutions of higher learning that oversees the process. His bill would have changed the university governance structure to give each campus more autonomy and more control over presidential services. Well, that bill was blocked in 2020, but Bell says a milder form of his proposal will likely come up again next year.
Well, I would say this. The commissioner of IHL has been receptive to hearing our concerns. He has been very adamant about making sure that our next presidential search is done fair and concise. So I have nothing but faith in him now from having a conversation with him. But at the end of the day, there needs to be some legislation addressing schools having the benefit of selecting their own president.
But meanwhile, a group of Jackson State alumni have formed the 1877 Project, and they've set up a website that lets you contact IHL members and state leaders directly. They say their goal is to ensure a transparent and fair search process that engages the JSU community. So let's see here. I see Fetty Moran saying, hi, hello, hi, how are you? Kingston said somebody wants to know how to be a reporter, wants to know how and what they have to do. Well, work hard. And maybe go to school for a journalism degree. There could be a lot to it. It's not a simple cut and dry answer for that. So about 2 months ago, the state legislature passed a bill to ban diversity, equity, and inclusion practices in public schools. And the American Civil Liberties Union of Mississippi is now asking a federal judge to prevent that legislation from becoming law. So the ACLU filed the suit yesterday. Legal Director Joshua Tom is hoping that the court will intervene. According to the lawsuit, House Bill 1193 violates the First and 14th Amendments by imposing the state government's preferred views on matters of public concern. Those concerns include things like race, gender, and sexuality, and the potential censoring of contrary views. The complaint also alleges that some of the law's provisions are vague and contradictory. Tom says it could rob students of a fair and balanced education.
What's alleged in the complaint is that people will be unable to learn about basic things about history in America, history in Mississippi, and history across the world. So, if you can't properly raise people's awareness, which is terms in the law about race, about gender, you can't teach about the civil rights movement. You can't teach about slavery. You can't teach about the LGBTQ rights movement. You can't teach about women's suffrage, etc.
So now that the lawsuit has been filed, Tom says he and others are preparing to explain their position to a judge about why they believe that the bill is unconstitutional. Dolores Caring, I see your post here. Let's see. It says, "Good afternoon. This is sad. What are the young people doing? And they are messing up their lives and don't care. They need to go to school and get a trade. Instead of trying to be in trouble, it's easier to educate than when I was in school. There are all kinds of ways to learning. Thank you for letting put my 2 cents in. There are a lot of ways to learning, Dolores. There is a world of knowledge at our fingertips with cell phones nowadays, and there's so many different ways to get an education and to learn things, learn what is going on around you, learn trades, learn how to do all kinds of stuff. So lots of different ways. But thank you for the comment, Dolores. Before we look at our forecast, we're going to hear from our sponsors over at Jackson Water.
Hey, Jackson, curious about our water system? Join the Jackson Water Academy to get the inside scoop on our water and sewer operations. 3 sessions, 3 months, and a whole lot of hands-on know-how. You'll even get a behind-the-scenes tour of the O.B. Curtis Water Treatment Plant. So if you're ready to dive in, head to jacksonwater.com/Water Academy or give us a ring at 601-500-5200 to apply. But hurry, spots are going fast.
And thanks again to Jackson Water for sponsoring WLBT Plus. Let's look at our current temperatures outside. Pretty warm across the area, in the upper 80s, even 90 in Lexington. And if we look at our current radar, you can see that we do have some rain in the area. Walthall, Pike, Amite, and Wilkinson County have some scattered showers there. Over the next 12 hours, though, maybe towards the 5 o'clock area, 30% chance of rain. But as we go into the overnight hours, we're not expecting any rain. And our 7-day forecast does have chances of rain every day. But again, they could be scattered just like they are today. For the full details on that, though, be here at 2:30 for the First Alert Weather Team as they give you that in-depth look at your forecast. And speaking of weather, Rankin County is getting some new tornado sirens to replace the aging system that is currently in use. So 40 sirens are going to be replaced this summer, and the current devices deliver a spoken message that residents say can be difficult to understand. The message is followed by a more familiar siren sound. The Rankin County Board of Supervisors approved spending $1.5 million for the upgrades, and the new omnidirectional models will not rotate, which should make them easier to maintain.
It's our safety at hand. We definitely need that. I think, taxpayer dollars go to our safety. That's very important.
Mississippi sees quite a few tornadoes, unfortunately, in the spring and the fall. This is just another avenue to get their information. We highly encourage everyone to have multiple ways to receive their information, not just rely on one.
So once installation begins this summer, supervisors say the project should take about 16 weeks to complete, and that is good news for Rankin County residents. And good news for others here in Mississippi. The Mississippi Emergency Management Agency says that millions of dollars in federal funding has already been awarded to victims of the tornadoes that went through the state March 14th and 15th. So FEMA has given out more than $4.3 million in federal assistance to survivors. More than 1,800 people have submitted applications, and MEMA says it's still getting more applications on a daily basis. So even if you do have insurance and you are affected by these storms, you are still encouraged to apply. You can do so in person at a disaster recovery center, or you can apply by phone or online. So disaster recovery centers do remain open in multiple counties, including Pike, Walthall, Issaquena, and Smith County here. So you want to get more information on that, you can go to the MEMA's website and learn more on either how to apply or where those disaster recovery centers are in your county. And there is some developing news that could impact college athletes. The schools can now pay student athletes directly thanks to a judge's decision that happened last Friday. So for the upcoming school year, each college or university will have $20.5 million that it can use to pay its athletes across all sports. Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann says he knew this was coming, but says that he says it all could also put Mississippi schools at a disadvantage. He believes deciding how much money each sport gets is where things are going to get a little bit interesting or could get a little murky. He also is concerned that local athletes might end up leaving Mississippi to get more money at bigger schools in other states.
I worry that we won't have as much money as a Texas or a Michigan or some of these others may have with their NILs and whatnot. That will be difficult for us to compete here because we have a smaller base. Certainly on the basketball side, where you've got our Georgetown or Villanova paying $2 million for their starting basketball guard, we're not going to be able to do that. We'll have a much lesser budget.
So as a part of the judge's ruling, the NCAA will pay roughly $2.8 billion in back damages over the next 10 years to athletes who competed in collegiate level from 2016 to present. This is slightly different from the NIL deals where athletes have been getting paid over the past few years. Those deals are with third parties where they get paid for the use of their name, image, and likeness. So this ruling does allow schools to pay the athletes directly. And if you live in the area of Canton, you have an emergency in the Canton area, your closest hospital is now the University of Mississippi Medical Center. So UMMC has acquired the former Merit Health Madison. So with 67 beds, the acquisition expands UMMC's services to more Mississippians while providing additional training opportunities for future healthcare providers. The deal with Merit Health was finalized on May the 1st and builds on a business relationship that began in 2019 when UMMC doctors started performing procedures at the Canton Hospital. As a full owner, UMMC says it will now integrate the facility more closely into its academic and healthcare system. And now we turn to the Gulf Coast in Harrison County, where it's a lot of excitement yesterday as the new Buc-ee's opened down there. So this aerial view here that we have for you shows what it looked like as Buc-ee's owner Beaver Applin cut the ribbon, marking the new beginning for Harrison County and the state. Customers filled to the store after it opened at 6 a.m. And Applin says the store will create more than 200 jobs, giving Harrison County a massive economic impact. And customers say that they've watched the store come out of the ground since ground broke back in 2023.
We'll be here a few times a week.
So convenient for the locals, and I'm sure it's going to bring a lot of people out of state too. This is great for the county, really. It is.
I find that we're a very big boost to the local economy, not just for the Buc-ee's store, but also the development that happens in the surrounding areas. It's just, we kind of create a reason to stop off the interstate and other businesses thrive as well.
The travelers are also welcomed by 120 fuel pumps, should hopefully be able to find a place to get gas there, and 24 electric vehicle charging stations and we must not forget the brisket inside of Buc-ee's. We can't forget the wall of beef jerky inside of Buc-ee's, and they really have exceptionally clean restrooms. So if you ever get the chance to stop at one, it is quite an experience. So congratulations to Harrison County. Maybe we'll get one up closer this way. You never know. All right. Well, that is going to be the end of a WLBT Plus today. That's all. But I will be back tomorrow. Our First Alert Weather team will be here at 2:30 today to look at your forecast with you. So make sure you join them then. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.